During the Great Depression, much of Central Park became a Hooverville, a shanty town named after President Herbert Hoover, who was in office during the market crash and was widely blamed for the Great Depression, 1933. In April 1945, a woman in heels and a barrel reading "I Did My Bit, Did You?" stands in Times Square, boosting support for war relief clothing donations. Mountains of bison bones stacked up, ready to be ground into fertilizer. That's 1800s America for you. This brutal massacre took the bison population from a mighty 60 million to barely 1,000. New York residents stand outside a giant mailbox stamp selling booth in Times Square, while the assistant postmaster dispenses stamps from inside the booth. 1961. In the 1930s, inventor A.J. Grafham came up with a rubber shield designed to protect pedestrians from serious injury if they happened to get hit by a speeding car. The first underwater nuclear explosion, 1946. A typical date in the 1950s, what a night out looked like for guys and gals back then. Here's the excitement of the French when they first got a taste of Coca-Cola. Young women honing their skills to become flight attendants in the swinging 60s. A snapshot of people lounging on the curb, surrounded by ticker tape, confetti, and scraps of paper, reveling in the celebration of victory over Japan Day, VJ Day, on August 14, 1945. A streetcar lies motionless just after having jumped the tracks and crashed into a store at the intersection of Nostrand and Putnam Avenues, July 1931. Contestants in the 1952 Butlins Holiday Camp Beauty Contest wore masks to keep the focus off their facial looks. Instead, they were judged solely on their physical beauty. A look at the different social classes in England, 1937. A window washer at work on the Empire State Building poses during a brief break from his duties, March 24, 1936. Nurses test gas masks on children at a hospital in England during a gas mask drill in World War II in 1940. This is how they straightened hair back in 1964, using nothing more than a simple clothes iron. Sanitation worker Lorenzo De Francesco takes on a mountain of trash at a disposal plant on February 12. With their 9-day strike settled, garbage collectors hit the city's streets to clear the refuse piled up during the labor dispute. Mr. Lewis Sidney and his Follyphone, a musical contraption of pipes, keys and horns designed in 1912. As the name suggests, this was not intended to be a real musical instrument. Sidney created the over-the-top hybrid in mockery of what he perceived as the ridiculous trend of new experimental instruments at the time. Wilbur Wright, of Wright Brothers fame, flies a Wright Type A plane by the Statue of Liberty as part of a demonstration, 1909. In 1920, the police took to the beach to measure girls' skirt lengths. Back then, women's swimwear was so strict that skirts couldn't be shorter than about 6 inches above the knee. This special electric thermal jacket was invented in the U.S. in 1932 to keep wearers safe from harsh weather conditions. A couple and their 11 kids posing for a family photo on Thanksgiving Day in the U.S., back in 1954. Meet the Quirky foldable bridge, easy to set up and move. Perfect for emergency rescues, this clever invention was crafted by L. Death in the Netherlands in 1926. Flight attendant seats in the 1960s. In 1921 America, there was a baby stroller equipped with an antenna and speaker, designed to serenade little ones to sleep. Inside a dress shop in London, a woman is patiently waiting for her dress frame to be finished. The hotel owner poured acid into the pool while black guests were swimming in it. This shocking photo was taken in 1964. This specially designed hat comes equipped with a radio, so you can sport the hat while tuning into your favorite stations. It's a fascinating invention from the golden age of radio in America back in 1931. This is the simple interior of a 1930s airplane. You don't need to sit in a chair to enjoy a good book. Back in 1936, you could lie comfortably in bed and read without straining your hands, thanks to this nifty reading glasses invention from England. In 1890, this remarkable little girl took her very first steps on prosthetic legs. Back then, it was hailed as a groundbreaking advancement in British medicine. Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit the inauguration ceremony of President Abraham Lincoln in 1865. Up close with the Wright brothers airplane, featuring the pilot's seat and passenger seat, 1911. Believe it or not, back in 1970, the U.S. held a one-of-a-kind contest called Miss Vampire. The first subway train in New York City rolled out in 1904. On the afternoon of May 6, 1937, the German airship Hindenburg, complete with swastikas, floated over New York City just hours before its infamous fiery crash in Manchester Township, New Jersey. The color-restored photo brings Marilyn Monroe's legendary beauty to life like never before. The first photograph of Earth taken from the Moon was captured in 1966 by the Lunar Orbiter 1 spacecraft. Kimberly Kate and her stray dogs in England. Kate has never turned away a stray dog, caring for over 600 pups throughout her life. The photo above was taken in 1962. The sailors aboard the USS New York were buzzing with excitement as they watched a boxing match on July 3, 1899. Former President Donald Trump snaps a photo with his dad at graduation, 1968. Meet Tsar Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia. He's famous for his love of selfies, a rare passion back in his day. These adorable twin kids on the streets of Russia in 1968 are bundled up in their warm coats, looking just like little penguins. Step aboard the cable car at Jisan Amusement Park in 1970s South Korea, where nature surrounds you. Enjoy unobstructed views, the wind in your hair, and mountains at your feet. Are you ready for the adventure? The propaganda photo depicts the ideal soldier as envisioned by the people of France during World War I. The Arcadico Bridge was built between 1300 and 1190 BC, over 3,000 years ago, and believe it or not, it's still standing strong today.